photograph him out by his pool, and the writer was really, really struck by the fact there were all these scantily clad women hanging around all the time, which, of course, as a photographer, your bullshit meter is a little bit finer tuned than most writers, so I immediately figured that probably that was a setup for the shooting or for the interview, and sure enough, as I was telling his assistant that the writer was really struck by the fact that there were a lot of women around the pool and we'd like to do that situation. She said, "Oh, we've already booked them all." And I'm like, "No, it's okay, that's what I figured." So, it's like, hey, there's a case that you got a billionaire doing your styling for you and pulling everything together. That's kind of a dream. But then when we're done doing that shot, I go just the opposite. And that's what I keep saying. It's like, do what you went there to go, shoot, but turn things around. So after doing all these lit portraits, I noticed the light coming across the golf course right behind his house was really, really beautiful. So this is just walking him out to one of the greens on the golf course, 50 feet behind his house, and standing there with nothing but, backlight right behind him, casting its long shadow. This is Kelly Wertzler she's a hotel interiors designer. She and her husband have a group of hotels, the Viceroys. And, here's a challenge where we're photographing somebody who's going to be building a hotel in Miami, but she's staying at a different hotel in Miami. This is the Satai. And she's photographing at a different hotel that's really beautiful, but it's not her work. So, again, kind of that less is more. It's like, I can't, it's not about the hotel that she's at. So we're just using a wall and a pattern and just selective focus where suddenly it just happens to be a really, really interesting wall, and it's not suddenly photographing her with somebody else's work. So, that's a lot of the things that you kind of have to think about as you're putting an image together. As I say, it's like a lot of times I would love to be able to shoot at 7 o'clock in the morning or 7 o'clock at night, but the reality is a lot of times I get stuck shooting at 11 o'clock in the morning or noon if that's when my subjects are available. So being able to kind of control your light and find a way, what a perfect solution for the really harsh Florida sun, stick it behind the guy's head. So with Joe Mauer, the Minnesota Twins, and it's just keeping it really clean and simple, and suddenly that horrible, almost direct overhead sunlight is, covered up and becomes a halo behind it. So, those are, kind of tricks that you can apply and just make the images that much better. Photograph a lot of athletes, and one of the interesting things is where you're asking earlier in terms of time that I've got, you would think in general, pros you have the least time with, but truthfully, the people with the greatest time constraints, for the most part, are college players, because they have so much in addition to being a full-time student. They've got meetings, they've got time in the weight room, they've got practice, that we really had about 15 minutes to photograph the University of Miami defensive backs. So get there early, pre-light the situation. I don't have 6 assistants with me, so I use the sports information director and my wife as stand-ins at different spots in the frame. So they're kind of, everything's pre-lit, and I know wherever these guys stand, the lighting's going to be good. So I don't waste my 15 minutes needlessly messing with stuff. I can just concentrate with the guys. And if you notice the 2 guys on the right side of the frame are kind of stuck in the background, that's because they showed up 5 minutes late to the 15-minute shoot. And Ed Reed is in the front with the football, and he's like, "You just wasted 5 minutes of my time with Sports Illustrated. You guys are in the back." So, and people listen to what Ed Reed says. So, this was a story for Vibe magazine on a couple of hip hop artists. This is Rick Ross and his producer Dre, and so it's like we're shooting them, like a lot of times when people are available to me, it's they're doing something else. So this is an instance where they were doing a music video that day, and they promised, they want me there at 4 o'clock in the afternoon because they think, well, we can do it before the video. And of course, I really see this one going south, and it was just what I expected, which of course, you never get it before the video crew, you're always like at the end. So this is probably, 12:30 at night, 1 o'clock in the morning, at the end of the whole thing. We just kept the video lights on, and I brought in basically, one of those beauty dishes with a grid spot to light the two guys up. If I hadn't done it, they would have mostly been in silhouette shadow. So it just, you throw that little pool of light where you need it, and then burn in the rest of the frame.
Do you bring your own generators to these?
On this stuff, actually what I do for a lot of stuff, if I was lighting something as elaborate as what the TV crew did, I absolutely would bring a generator, but they have everything lit. What I tend to do on locations, just because it's so much easier, and especially when you're the still photographer on a video shoot, on a movie set, or anything like that, you are a little bit lower on the priority list than the guy who drives up the honey wagons and cleans them out at the end of the night. I mean, you're their last priority. So the last thing that I want to do when they tell me 47 times that I'm in their way and I need to move is have to move anything that's heavier than I have to move it. So these are battery powered strobes. This is a Profoto 7B, which is a 1200 watt second battery pack unit. I use mostly the Profoto 7Bs, and now they have a newer Acute 600B, which is a 600 watt second battery pack. And it's like, it is so much easier to move that thing around.
And that's the same in the jungle shoot too?
Yeah, exactly. That's, this one is the 7B, the other one is the 600, and it's like, really like with 35 digital, it's like I can get by with like, usually a stop-less strobe that I usually need for medium format, so it makes my setup so much easier. And another shot of guys in their cars. This is the Mad Men of Miami. This is Kristen Porter Bogusky, the hottest ad shop in the country, and this is when they landed the Volkswagen campaign. This is they were going to be named Agency of the Year by Ad Age. And so they want a portrait of these guys, but they don't want, shooting creative people, the magazine doesn't want them shot like in front of the logo in their lobby or something. They want to do something else. So, okay, they landed Volkswagen. Let's put these guys to work. And we were out looking for car washes we could do, and there was nothing within time, reasonable time. These guys, they're nice, but, they want to do it in half an hour. Every place we looked at was farther away than that. And we pitched a couple things, and they're like, no, too far. Finally, they were like, they wash cars in the garage under our building. So that ended up where, just shooting down there, and it's really clean and simple, and, brought in a few props, and Alex Bogusky is in the center, and as the creative director, came up with a great idea. The guys that wash the cars have t-shirts, and so he bought a t-shirt from one of the guys, and he shows up at the shoot wearing a t-shirt that says, "I could be buffing errors." So, that's like, when people give you that, they do all your work for you. Portraits on location, it's like sort of the same thing that I learned with burlesque dancers in terms of putting people center stage. This is a Mexican singer, and we're just shooting her at a really beautiful location, but lighting the image up, putting the light where it needs to be, and putting her right at the center of the image. And another Mexican singer here in her restaurant, and this is for People. This was for People magazine, and they've actually come great strides in the last year. In the last 5 to 10 years, they're a pleasure to work with. But this was the old typical People magazine shot where they'll like you if you do a picture of a singer in their restaurant. They'll love you if she's dancing on the table. So somehow knowing your audience is really, really important. And, like a lot of times, it's like we photograph this whole range of people that are, from very, very famous to less famous, and I find it interesting really to kind of give everybody their stage. And here's an example. This is an author who wrote Memoirs of a 1,000-Year-Old Tree. So for a location, we just came up, Miami is not a very historic place. It's about a little over 100 years old, but they have these beautiful banyan trees that look, they look like they're from Jurassic Park. So we photographed him with a banyan tree, and kind of as soon as I told him the color, he styled himself and showed up in a cream-colored linen suit. It's my friend Kevin Robbie. Kevin's an art director out in LA, and I think like one of the really cool things is you work with people that are really cool and interesting. Is like, just like with your friends, it's like I told him going into the shoot, we knew we were going to have a really cool location, so he's got this El Camino that he calls his Hell Camino because he's got a little bit of a goth look. So I said, make sure you show up with the Hell Camino. We're going to do a shoot at the end. So these end up being like shots that it's like that little extra thing that you do that suddenly this is how you build your portfolio. Take advantage of it, and keeping things really, really simple and clean. Like a lot of these shots, it's like the stuff that's out of the background makes it that much stronger. This is an example of a story that's really like more reportage. This was a story for Parade magazine on home foreclosures, and this is Merced, California, one of the hardest hit areas. And I think if anything, this is kind of an homage to American Gothic, from the Depression. It's suddenly like, Americans are going through that same sort of crunch. So, whether somebody's a famous celebrity or in the news for something else, you give them that same amount of love. It's a Cuban boxer, so getting the flag in the background is what the editors wanted. Another boxer. It's like a lot of times, I started off doing reportage, I don't really do it anymore, but when I see somebody doing something interesting, you want to be ready there to capture it. Don King, great subject there, it's just a case I'm looking for a double page opener for a Forbes cover sheet on Don King, and there's this great wall, and he shows up with Carlos Mayorga, and I've just got Carlos in the background, and we're shooting, one frame at a time on the strobe. And a lot of times, it's great, a lot of the new cameras will shoot 10 frames a second, but actually one of the really cool things is you don't always need 10 frames a second to capture action. This is just one frame at a time with strobe. This was a story on the vice president of Burger King, and they arranged to get us the king for the photograph. And I wanted to take him to a Burger King restaurant and have him eating lunch, and they said he couldn't leave the premises, but fortunately their cafeteria only serves Burger King food. Fortunately for me, not for him. So, it ends up being just like, he's having lunch with his buddy the king. So, again, it's like that little bit of, have fun on these shoots. It's Leslie Nielsen, my wife and I photographed him for the cover of Draft magazine, and he styled himself. He said he wanted to be photographed in his tuxedo. So I kind of thought about it. He's got sort of this bizarre world James Bond to him, only much funnier. So, we finished the illusion with, that's a case where the stylist isn't pulling clothes, the stylist is pulling the martini glass for the beer. So it's, that little, sometimes that's all it takes really to give the picture a visual hook, those little things you can throw in. And that actually ended up generating a lot of shoots for us for this magazine. This is